Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sigmar and Son. And today we're going to go through the latest news for Age of Sigmar 2.0, as well as discuss Shadespire Warbands and using them in Age of Sigmar. I'm Greg.
I'm Mark.
That's Mark. I guess first off, I wanted to mention, if you like the show, please go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And this will let you know when we're going to be scheduling things. Unfortunately, we can't quite get a good permanent schedule, Mark's schedule, because of his school and work changes a lot. And a lot of times last minute, we apologize for the show trying to go last night. It didn't because of that. And so we were, like I said, apologize for that. But subscribe and you'll get notified when we start. And we really would love to get you guys joining us to talk about things in the chat session as we go. I think that will add and help build the community. And I would really enjoy doing that. So anyway, if you'd like to get in contact with us, in addition to what I said, my Twitter handle is @thedicemustflow. Mark's Twitter handle is @mdcaus1. And you can get a hold of us on the Dice Must Flow Facebook page, and we are also on Facebook. One final thing before we start. Today is Memorial Day in the United States. And I wanted to tell any of our listeners that were in the service, are currently in the service, thank you for your service. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, I think we all do.
So with that, just kind of start with what we've been working on. I've been working on a ton, and I got it all downstairs, so I don't have it up here. But I started painting, airbrushing a little bit with the Glotkin. And got him in a little bit. And the big thing I've been doing is preparing for NashCon, which is next weekend, and doing bases and preparing rebasing or cleaning up the bases for my Tomb Kings, which I'm going to basically have one final charge of the Tomb Kings, because I don't think that after Age of Sigmar 2.0 comes out, I think they'll be relegated to history, as it were. So we'll just have one final play with them. And so, I built some terrain for it, trying to make a nice board and go from there. Mark, what have you been working on?
I've just been working.
He's been working. I know he had 4 12-hour shifts in a row for work, plus a 12-hour shift from school.
I managed to build this turtle. That's a thing.
Yeah, you got Crush?
I got Crush, Squirt. Crush or Squirt, which one should it be? I think Crush. Crush is a little bigger. Chaw.
Yeah. Anybody who goes to Disney knows that Crush tells everybody to say Chaw.
Yep. And I got one Namarty flesh done. I got one model's flesh done.
That is important.
The Namarty model. Yep. So that's what I've done. Not much, unfortunately.
Well, that whole work and school thing.
Yep.
So anyway, pre-orders this weekend. The kind of going into our topic is the push fit warbands for Shadespire. So basically now you can buy all the Shadespire models without the cards for the Shadespire game, and you can for use in Age of Sigmar. The pricing on those is $25 for each warband versus $30 for the models plus the cards for the separate ones. But maybe the two that come in the box base game, those might be the ones that people will be interested in. I really can't imagine anybody paying $25 versus $30, because I think you'll be able to sell the cards for $5 or more on eBay.
Honestly, even if you don't play, even if you don't play Shadespire, just you might get into it one day. You might as well have the cards for $5, right?
Right.
It's really not that much money. In the grand scheme of this hobby, $5 is nothing.
As we get into them, most of these are unique, so you can't really use a bunch of them. But there are people that were talking about using these as models in their forces. So Age of Sigmar 2, there's been a ton of news again as they just keep leaking and talking and giving more information out. I got to be honest, this is the first week I've kind of gone, ooh, this might be a little scary. But we'll kind of go through things and go through what we think. I know that Warhammer Weekly did a little bit of a best and a worst case for some of their thoughts, and maybe I'm focusing on the worst case of some of these. The one
I
thing
think
that came out,
I think me and you tend to be quite pessimistic about things, unfortunately. So
yeah. Command points. So in the one of the faction focuses, and it might have been Korn, but anyway, they talked about command points, and it said in a pitched battle, an army receives 1 extra command point for every 50 points that were not spent on units for the army. For example, if you're fighting a battle host game and spend 1,895 points on units, then you will receive an extra 2 command points. I'm going to screen share my document over here. So, and Mark got up, so now I can only see his butt. I don't know how to lock in. Anyway, that was great, Mark. Command points. Here's the picture of it. And I wanted to point out first, they talk about 1,895 points. And so that is different because units ending in 5, we've not seen that before. Or is there going to be a cost per model?
Yeah, I went through. Just before the show, I was like, before we make ourselves look like idiots or something, like that hasn't happened before.
Like you just did when you stood up and showed everybody your underwear?
Oh, I'll be all right.
We'll try and cut this out when we go. Anyway.
Yeah, I went through all the war scrolls, just making sure that everything didn't end in 5 points. And nothing does. It's all zeros.
Right. So, and the other interesting thing on this is in a pitched battle, an army receives 1 command for every 50 they didn't spend. I don't know if they're going to have, triumphs, where if you spend less than the 2,000 points or whatever your point is, you can get a triumph. But these command points are not basically apparently part of you're not spending 50 points for a command point. So if they have triumphs and you spent, for example, 1,950 points and you had 50 less and you got 1 command point, you would still get a triumph according to this if they still have triumphs.
Yeah, this might be the replace for triumphs, but I think they'll still have triumphs.
Right. So basically what I'm seeing on command points is that I think pretty much everybody is going to be I can't see people having less than 50 points. I mean, 2 of them. So in a 2,000 point game, I think you're going to have 1,900 points minimum, 100 points of command points left over. Because I just really think that that's the case.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially with, I don't know, like so many combos and stuff that you can do. Maybe perhaps I'm not familiar with every single army in Age of Sigmar, but maybe there's some factions that are just like there's only like 2 heroes and you'd rather have a model than the command points almost like the command ability is negligible, so you just rather have the 100 points of models or something like that.
Right.
It's possible, but I think a lot of your meta, like tournament armies or whatever, like 1,900 is going to be the new 2,000, if that makes sense. And you're just going to be building for these combos or like crazy swing turns.
Yeah. So going back to share, I guess the next thing up was shooting. This one came out today, and basically they clarified the shooting rule. So Mark, can you go that?
Yeah. So a unit can shoot when it is within 3 inches of an enemy, but if it does, it can only target enemy units that are within 3 inches of it with its shooting attacks. A unit can shoot at an enemy unit that is within 3 inches of another friendly unit without penalty. So basically, to make this just easy, plain English, if you're within 3 inches of an enemy unit, you can only shoot that unit. If you're not, it works like the original edition 1. You can just shoot whatever.
Right. So they're basically saying that you can shoot into any other combat if you're farther than 3 inches away.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're within 3 inches of an enemy, you have to shoot that one.
Yeah, and notice it's not per, like I thought they were going to do like per model basis, because like you can have your conga line and you can get tagged all the way over here, and then this model, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like they have to shoot here, but also if you're within 3, if you get tagged on both sides, this model over here can still shoot this enemy unit over here if you're within 3 inches.
Definitely a unit, not a model rule. So, which kind of leads me to something I'm actually hoping for in the rules. I hope that there's more of a cohesion rule coming in some point where all to prevent the big Congo lines across the board. I do think that it'd be nice if they had something where all units have to be within 12 inches of each other or something like that.
Make the game look more like a game.
Yeah.
More like an army.
Yeah, I guess I'm saying when you watch like when you watch Games Workshop play on their channel, you never see this Congo lining.
Same with mini wargaming. They really don't do a lot of the like.
Right.
I guess like meta plays, if that like. They don't really do like the tournament play. They just kind of push crap to the middle and fight and get objectives. They don't really do the whole maximizing your benefits and minimizing your opponents.
Yeah, so I guess next up on news, summoning. Big summoning changes. Basically, summoning's free.
Ooh, I don't know if I like that.
No more reinforcement points for summoning. Armies that have summoning will have special army rules for summoning. They did talk about what Slaanesh is going to have, but like Nurgle and Legions of Nagash are going to use the systems that they already have in their books, which are like the contagion points and Nagash's endless legions. It says other factions' unique summoning abilities will be in the General's Handbook 2018. And Slaanesh is going to generate points when heroes deal or receive wounds that do not slay the target or they themselves are not slayed. So those are like pain points or whatever. I look at the summoning and I think, wow, this is just so powerful. Even like this, but then I also think that with the rules going, with all the combos and everything with command points, maybe it's not as big of a deal, because by the time you build up enough points to summon a huge thing, I don't know, maybe the game's over and you're just not going to get it. I think the Legions of Nagash, with their ability to basically resummon a destroyed unit, that may be more important, more powerful than, for example, the Nurgle, where you have to build up contagion points, and then before you get 7 contagion points can get you a nerdling or something.
Yeah. So I've got a couple things to say about the summoning. So initially I was like, woo, this is awesome. No reinforcement points. It's so cool. And then I was like reading more and I was like, oh, this is awful actually. Summoning's broken. Sky's falling. And then I was like, and then the more I look at it and just think about like the context of the game and how the like games play out even nowadays, Age of Sigmar games go really fast. Like turn 3 is later in the game. Like the games are not that long, and I don't think that these like you said, the Endless Legions ability you think is going to be kind of important. I think that one actually is one of the weaker ones in thinking about it, because your opponent has control over determining how strong it is. It has to be an entire unit that has been wiped out. That the entire unit has to be wiped out. So you don't have to fight that unit. You don't have to wipe out the entire unit. You can leave a couple guys left, and yes, they will be regaining guys, but they won't get the entirety of the thing back. They have to be within 9 inches of the gravesite, so you can control that. And the ability has to be used by the general. Slay their general, and it's done.
And they also have a restriction of the grave sites, right? So
yeah, 9 inches. That's what I said.
Yeah, so you got to have somebody that's there. I was just mentioning, like, if the army gets wiped, it can come back versus needing to control and get all the contagion points. Or Slaanesh sounds a little weak because it's going to be wounds that it's only going to be against heroes, and it's only going to be wounds that don't kill the hero, which is going to be.
Does Slaanesh have anything that they can take wounds themselves? Like, you can deal yourself a D3 wounds, because then that counts as both, right? You're dealing wounds and receiving wounds. That
probably, I don't know.
But I don't know much about
Slaanesh. Certainly be on the receiving wounds portion,
right?
So basically, you're getting rewarded for not doing well, for not killing the guy.
Well, the way wounds go through, it's one at a time anyway. So if the guy has 5 wounds and you deal him 5 wounds, you're going to get 4 points. On the 5th, you just don't get the one.
No, because it says do receive wounds that do not slay their target. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
No, that is how that works.
Okay. Well, then it's not near as bad as I thought, because I'm like, wow, you're going to do 3 wounds and not,
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So next up, casting and unbinding.
The nerfs and the buffs. Nerf to Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, buff to Unbinding.
Yeah. Stop presenting. Oh, okay. Yeah, basically Arcane Bolt and Mystic Shield. So these are big time nerfs, but definitely needed. So, like, let's go through the Mystic Shield first, because that's the one everybody's crying about. I actually think this is a good move, because before, basically, the Mystic Shield, when you cast it, it had a casting cost of 5, and if it was successfully cast, somebody within 18 inches, basically they just got add 1 to save rolls. So, and now the Mystic Shield is going to let you pick a friendly unit within 18 inches, and you reroll save rolls of 1. So on a normal generic cruddy unit that has a 6-up save, it's going to be a sort of an extra reroll 1s on that guy versus a 5 or a 6 saving.
I generally think the Mystic Shield will just be used on heroes rather than units. Is basically kind of what they've done.
Right.
Like before, you'd use it to make super giant defensive units, and now I think you'll just be making your heroes that have good saves. You'll be making their saves a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, I'm not too caught up on all the Stormcast guys, but aren't there like Stormcast guys with the 3-up save?
Yeah. Yes.
And so now you're going to be 3-up rerolling 1s or 2-up rerolling 1s or something. I don't know how the command points will be able to stack up. I can definitely see people getting like a 3-up reroll 1 is going to be pretty powerful still. But I mean, that's not quite as powerful as a 2-up.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but I mean, even I basically would always, that'd be like the first spell you would cast when you're outside of dispel range, right? I mean, you'd always, or your general, which was so important, you'd always just Mystic Shield him, just period, because it just was so good. I mean, even if before you cast an offensive spell, you would always Mystic Shield. So now it might not be an automatic cast that you do. So I'm good. I'm good with that one. I'm also good with the Arcane Bolt change, which is another nerf. But yeah, before, and I might have said the Mystic Shield had a cast cost of 5, but it's a 6, and it still is a 6. The Arcane Bolt is a 5. It still is a 5. It used to do a D3 mortal wounds to somebody. Now it basically does 1 mortal wound to a unit, but if you roll a 10 or more, it does a D3 wounds instead.
Yep.
I kind of actually don't even like the 10 or more portion of that. I just like that it would just do the 1 wound. I know that's a big time nerf, but you know, a lot of times when looking at spells that wizards had, you would never even cast them because they would be like, well, it's not as good as Arcane Bolt. And with the shooting rules changes where you're getting cover, I think they're looking at going to try and prevent character sniping with the Arcane Bolt with the Arcane Bolt.
Yeah. The way I kind of look at it is like these two spells that every wizard had access to were bullying out like their supposedly cool spell they get, like their original spell, their character spell, or the spells in each book. These spells were bullying out. There might be spells that deal more damage than Arcane Bolt, but if they have a casting cost of 8, the opportunity cost is like, I'd rather just go for the little bit worse spell and know, like, I'm going to cast this and I'm going to get the D3 rather than getting a D6 but having a casting cost of 8.
Right.
And same with Mystic Shield, it's like
you said, bullying. You would now always cast the Arcane Bolt for the most part over your own faction spell or spell that a wizard had.
Yeah, and I think this gives less ability to snipe heroes, which is a great thing, and it gives more identity to each faction with their spells, which is I think is important for just like if someone's watching a game, I don't want to see opponent A Arcane Bolt someone, opponent B Arcane Bolt someone. I want to see someone cast a dreaded 13th spell, and I want to see someone cast whatever spell, you know?
Right.
I want to see sweet spells.
Exactly. Unfortunately, this next topic means you might not see any spells at all. The Unbinding. They talked about Unbinding. The range is going to increase to 30 inches instead of the normal 18.
Yeah.
I guess that's good because your little squishy wizards that are going to unbind before you had to basically move them into melee. Probably 18 inches meant you were moving them into missile weapon range. So you're probably still gonna shoot. You're gonna be farther away and not get shot. They did point out a combo that was Curseling, the Eye of Tzeentch, because Tzeentch needs a little bit more power. If somebody tries to cast the Mystic Shield on the first turn, you have a chance at unbinding it. And then using Vessel of Chaos, put it on one of your own units. So, because basically now you're going to be in 30 inches, and a typical setup across the board, you're going to have 12 inches in, 12 inches in, and 24 inches apart. So you're going to have you're going to be within 30 inches of somebody, perhaps.
You don't have to. I mean, there's ways to play around that. You don't.
No, I'm just saying if
I understand.
You're going to have.
You don't have to. You can control your setup.
Right.
Second off, we don't know if the cost of wizards are going to be going up. I could totally see the cost of wizards going up because of these changes. Like Arcane Bolt and Mystic Shield, yes, they got nerfed. But Unbinding range of 30 inches is a really big deal. And I could see some wizards going up in cost because of this, like the cheap 100-pointers going just like 120 points or something.
Right. The other thing back on that Arcane Bolt is it's a casting roll of 10 or more. And so, like, Nagash gets to add 3 to the die roll. I mean, not that Nagash is cheap or anything. If Nagash would cast that on a 7 or better, he's going to be getting the D3.
I actually think Nagash is really good in this new edition. He has
Well, that's
what?
maybe the point, because isn't their whole thing is Nagash right now.
I know, but I'm just saying he is like he has like 6 unbinds, right? 6, 5. It's either 5 or 6 casts and unbinds, and
Right.
just all the spells ever. And he just seems really strong right now.
Right. Well, we don't know how costs go, and that's the other thing. We don't know how all the points of things. They seem strong, assuming current points, but who knows?
Right.
Realm spells. They basically talked about with spells, and they're saying each of the 7 realms will have 7 special spells available to cast in them. And they basically say they show one, which they talked about banishment, which to me I think is basically just gonna it's gonna be says that these are gonna be for narrative games only. But banishment has a casting value of 8. Again, speaking of a high cast cost. But if cast, you can pick up an enemy unit within 12 inches of the caster that is visible to them, remove that unit from battlefield, and set it up again on the battlefield more than 9 inches from any models from the caster's army and more than 24 inches from the caster. So, this thing's just kind of horribly broken. It basically removes a unit from the game. I mean,
yeah.
It's banishment. They didn't say remove it from the board, I guess, but basically it's like throw it into that corner over there. And by the time the game goes on, it's never getting back. And then if they don't do the thing, I know Tom Warhammer Weekly was talking about this crazy stuff where you have, if somebody's got a conga line of army, you basically can lay this out and conga line this in such a way that it blocks the other entire army from moving, or where they can't even units can't move because they all are moving through each other. It just I think maybe they need to say more than 12 inches from or more than whatever from another unit period.
Yeah, I agree with your narrative games only, which is cool. But
yeah,
I don't want to. I certainly don't want to be playing with this spell in a tournament.
Yeah, maybe tournaments will do. Who knows? Each tournament organizer can do things however they want. I mean, there's no rules on what people have to do. But maybe they do like round 1 is in this realm and round 2 is in that realm and stuff. So that'd be kind of cool.
I just wait until you get banished.
Well, I'm just saying this spell is just kind of broken. I assume they'll fix it.
Banishment of banishment from tournaments.
They'll ban banishment or fix it.
Yes.
But yeah, like I said, you throw it in the corner, it's going to be done. It's never going to get back into the battle in time. So more wizardry. Spellhammer. Endless spells were talked about. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. I put this on. So endless spells are cast like normal spells, except they summon a spell model to the table, and this model persists till it's dispelled. So that's cool. And this is like the Jaw Pac-Man guy that we saw.
Mm-hmm.
And as well as I guess other things. And we talk about 2 of them.
Purple Sun.
But here's the thing that basically I'm wondering about is endless spells are moved at the start of each battle round after determining who gets the first turn, with players taking it in turns to pick a spell to move, starting with the player that has the second turn that round. You'll be able to move any endless spell with this move, not just the ones you control, representing their wild and untamable nature.
Notice the quotes, everyone. This is from a Warhammer community thing. This is not our speculation.
So, I'm not sure if each player is going to get to move a spell once, because it says spells are moved at the start of battle round after determining, with players taking it in turns to pick a spell to move. So maybe you could move a spell. Each player gets to move a spell once. I don't, like the Pac-Man once. Or maybe it's just really whoever's starting with the player who has the second turn that round gets to pick one and move it. But as I said here, I don't know if anybody, I would never use them if that's the case. I mean, if I put it out there, other than I know, they say that this is going to make your second turn more strategic. Oh, well, maybe I don't want to take that double turn. But if this thing could basically, if you're going to cast a spell that can be used against you by your opponent, why I can't imagine. There's too many other good spells. I'm not sure I would even use this.
If these spells cost 100 points or something, I think they will, to put into your army, similar to the Balewind Vortex, I don't want to be casting these.
Right, and so we'll find out more. But if this is what they said, and there are a couple examples here. So we were going through the Purple Sun, and basically the Purple Sun can move up to 9 inches and fly. And when this model is set up, the player set it up can immediately make a move with it. So that's kind of cool, though. So when you cast it, you can move. But each unit that has any models that pass across and any other unit that is with 1 inch at the end of the move is subjected to the Purple Sun's energies. And you basically roll a dice equal to the number of models in the unit. For a 6+, 1 model in that unit is slain. So basically, you're going to roll 10 models in the unit, roll 10 dice on a 6 or better. Every unit is in there is dead.
If it's a monster, it just takes 2d6 instead of killing it. Basically, is kind of what it's saying.
Right. So it's okay, but again, if that can be used against you, I'm not sure I would cast it. Especially if it's it's like in the realm of death, and I got 40 skeletons, and that thing could go over 40 skeletons.
Yeah.
Right. So, and the other one example they gave was this Umbral Spell Portal, and it's a single endless spell. This one I could see people kind of using because it basically is you basically have 2 points on the board. And it's like a tunnel for range. So basically, when I'm next to one point, I can cast out of the other point. So that's kind of cool. But you got to be within 1 inch of the spell portal model to be able to do it. And the big thing here is that if a predatory endless spell finishes, move within 6 inches of a spell model, remove it from the battlefield and set it up again anywhere within 6 inches of the other portal. So it's kind of like maybe you could use this to dispel. But again, it's like, oh, I've got this spell portal out here, and I'm going to move another model, and now I'm going to jump it through the spell portal. And it looked to me like the spell portal was both ways, not just one way.
Yeah, my thing with the spell portal is you're taking your turn to cast the spell portal. On your opponent's turn, they will get the opportunity, if able, to use the spell portal.
Right.
You are spending your turn to set up something for your opponent to use.
Right. So basically, somebody would have to cast it, and then if you had 2 spells, you could cast it and use it. But yeah, basically, you're right. You're casting this, and it's probably your opponent's going to use it on his turn.
Yeah, I don't know. They're sweet. They're sweet models. They're cool ideas. I don't know how good they are, though.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see more. Right now, I'm.
There are better players than us that might break these. We don't know.
I'm very hesitant, right now. Yeah. Balewind Vortex, they mentioned in this whole article, has been given a complete rules overhaul in line with the rest of the endless spells. So,
as needed,
your time has come.
Hopefully,
it's over.
I hope it's like just a raging tornado across the battlefield instead of like increasing doubling the range of stuff. That was stupid.
Right.
Yeah, I hope it's just like a giant tornado across the battlefield that has like a random movement. That'd be sweet.
It'll help you spell cast, but not so ridiculous as what they have now.
Yeah.
And doubling your spell range is not so as brutal because you got the 30-inch dispel too. So
it's pretty brutal.
Still pretty brutal, yes.
I mean, if you can sit outside of the 30 inches and still cast spells, it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, 1836, still pretty brutal.
Yeah.
All right, so back to me here. to stop sharing. So yeah, they did some faction focuses, and I was just kind of going through some of the. Thought we'd go through some of the pieces
Key points.
of them. Honestly, a lot of these basically said, "Hey, with the new rules, you're going to be able to take command points and pull off this combo."
Right. Or, hey, here's one little thing different. Here's a couple guys that are getting reduced in points, but they were never very specific. It was very, very general look at one thing.
Right.
It wasn't a specific look at one thing. It was very general look at one thing.
Right. For example, they said for Flesheater Corps, which was one, the army is designed around a collection of low-level heroes known as courtiers, each of which can bolster nearby units with new models. The courtiers are led by an aberrant Ghoul King, each of which has a command ability that lets them set up entirely new units with their command abilities. In short, that means every Ghoul King essentially comes with a free unit because summoning doesn't cost anymore.
But Flesheater Courts are not that great. So
I don't know what unit that actually they get to set up. So
it's not very good at all.
All right. The next thing, this was...
I know that Haywo Twitch, I watched his video yesterday.
Yeah.
And he said that Flesheater Courts are, if you gave them the new summoning ability in the old edition, they would still suck. So
interesting. So day 13 of their spells of faction focus was Skaven, because Skaven in number 13. So Thankful and Bone Ripper getting a point reduction
to what I assume is 400. When they originally came out, it was 500. Then in the General's Handbook, it was 450. Still, you couldn't bring them in as an ally, which is very sad. So I assume they'll bring them down to 400 points so you can ally them in, which is great, because Thankful and Bone Ripper is one of my favorite models. It is a really, really good missile weapon that it's a 2d6 mortal wounds auto hit.
Yeah, because those other guys don't have enough auto mortal wounds anyway.
Hey man, you need to calm down. Don't be hating on my rats.
So, the other big news was the dreaded 13th spell is Screech Vermin King. I guess the spell's coming back, or Mark, did it already exist?
Yeah, it already exists. It just wasn't good because you had to pay for you had to pay for the rats that you.
Oh yeah, so basically under free summoning now, basically it's not the dreaded 13th and I guess other spells that do special summoning like or chaos when you basically kill somebody, you can set up a chaos spawn. They're not going to cost points under those summoning rules, and so yeah, your dreaded 13th is now going to be a good spell because you're going to be able to turn enemies into clan rats.
This is the most important change of Age of Sigmar Edition 2.0 ever, because this is the best spell in the game. And how old was I when we got into Warhammer Fantasy?
I have no idea, but I
think I was like 13.
Rats.
I think I was 13, and we were playing in the basement. And Dad was playing his Chaos Warriors, and I was playing my rats. And I was like, I'm going to try and cast a spell. I don't know if you guys know, in the old edition, it was a casting cost of like 20 something. It was crazy.
No, it wasn't that, but you also had level wizards and stuff, so you had a level 4 wizard with a Grey Seer and stuff.
Yeah, it was hard to cast, and if you got their entire unit, you turn them all to rats. And I just remember doing that to you in the basement, and it was like, it just like cemented the love of rats. I was like, this is the greatest spell in the history of the world. And like my little 13-year-old self it was just amazing.
That's why and that hooked you from then on.
Yeah.
So they also mentioned that the Screaming Bell boxcars can summon a Vermin Lord when you roll 12 when you ring the bell.
It needs a change still. Screaming Bell, one of the best models in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I just hate that, to be honest. I mean, so you're going to swing the game on somebody who rolled 12 and a
Yeah.
Vermin Lord comes in.
Alariel
and
had an
people.
ability, which
What?
we'll talk about. Alariel had the ability. You would roll, and you got to summon like whatever. And I assume that her new Soul Am, whatever it's called, is what will be replacing that. Why couldn't they have given that to the Screaming Bell? Why couldn't they have said once per game you can summon? I don't even care about summoning a Vermin Lord. So once per game, summon 20 Clan Rats. Why couldn't they have done that instead?
Yeah, I just, like I said, I don't like that. I agree with you that it should be a little more consistent, that it gets it. You could then point it out. I know the Skaven are supposed to be dicey and everything, but I mean, I would hate to play against it and all of a sudden it's like, well, he got a Vermin Lord and it wiped me out. I mean,
yeah,
just kind of.
So, yeah, going back, I hate to jump around. Going back to the Arcane Bolt, I kind of have that same idea. Like, I don't want to get just like screwed over because someone spiked a 10.
Right.
I don't know.
So you just mentioned it, but the next thing up they had Sylvaneth preview, and that was Alariel is going to get an ability, and it's going to cost no reinforcement points. So basically, in your hero phase, you can heal a D3 wounds to each Sylvaneth model within 30 inches of this model. Or once per battle, instead of using this ability to heal, you can summon one unit from the list below and more than 9 inches and all that kind of stuff. But it's 20 Dryads or 10 Revenants, Tree Revenants, 10 Spite Revenants, 3 Kurnoth Hunters, run 1 Branch Witch or 1 Tree Lord. So basically it's like, oh, well, I'm going to have Alariel and turn 1 pop another Tree Lord.
Yeah.
Well, I just hope they increase her points by like 300 or whatever the Tree Lord cost.
No, I don't think it's that. I mean, it's who's to say that you can only take this in 2000? I mean, if you can take this in like if you're doing like 1,000-point battle, it's certainly broken, right? Who's to say that you can only take this in 2,000-point games or something like that, or whatever.
Okay, I can't imagine that they're going to make a rule that says you can only take her in.
And Alariel right now is already 620 points, and she kind of sucks. So
right, but anyway, yeah, it's just I guess I'm hesitant on this one. You know, where I said before I didn't think summoning quite mattered so much because the games were going to be short and things are not going to actually get to the point that you're going to be summoning. This thing you're going to pop turn 1. There's no stopping it. Or turn 2 or whatever. And I would think you'd pop it before you lose them.
yeah.
They also mentioned that Kurnoth Hunters and Spirits of Durthu will now cost fewer points.
Which is good. Kurnoth Hunters got an increase in points to be, I wouldn't say overcosted, on the verge of being overcosted. And with the new shooting changes, they would for sure have been overcosted. So a cost reduction is
right.
Is a good thing. And Spirits of Durthu costs, I think, 400 points.
Right.
They're really strong, but a cost reduction would make them a little bit better. I don't think they're overcosted, but again, on the verge.
Yeah. So the other thing, I guess moving on, and I'm trying to zip through some of these a little bit so we can get to our main topic without going forever. But Legions of Nagash, obviously you get the summoning for the Nagash and the new Night Haunt units they mentioned are going to be available in Legions of Nagash armies, or many Legions of Nagash armies. And they gave an example, which is kind of ridiculous, where you can, using 3 command points and a spell, you can get the 480 attacks from a unit of 40 skeletons.
I hope no one ever does that to me because I don't want to have to count up 480 dice, or I mean, like keep track of that.
I mean, this is an example of how the game is going to go fast because you're going to have a unit of 40 skeletons get into combat, and you're going to have 3 command points that you didn't spend, and it's like that's built into your force for that when that thing hits. Bam.
But the thing is, all 40 skeletons have. I mean, this is like all 40 skeletons have to have an attack, which probably is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Generally, you'll in a unit of 40. The reason you bring a unit of 40 is just so they don't get wiped out, and they generally get better the more you bring. You'll probably get 20 attacks in, maybe.
Yeah, so 20 skeletons, it'll only be 240 attacks.
Yeah, that's a lot still. But what do they? I mean, what do they hit on? I mean,
4 and 4,
okay.
or 5 and 4 if you got spears. Probably
What
you're
you're
going to
saying is killing something.
Yeah. So anyway, it's kind of it could be ridiculous, I guess, is the little bit of a warning, but they know it because they even are talking about it.
And we've talked about this before a lot. I think that we're probably being a little pessimistic. I have faith in a lot of the people that play test this. It's not just the people at Games Workshop. They send it out to a lot of play testers.
When Age of Sigmar first came out, and they just said, "Hey, here, let's try this."
Yeah, they have a lot of play testers that do this. The play testers really love the game and care about it, so they're not going to want to make the second edition worse than the first, obviously. So, who knows?
The Daughters of Cain, they basically talked about combos, and they mentioned a couple artifacts from the realm of Ulgu. I won't go into those, but basically they were pretty ugly. The Zinch, more wizards equal more benefit from the new magic rules. That's what I wrote. And then they talked about this chronomatic cog, which is a spell. I don't know if this is if this was an endless spell. I don't remember or not.
I think it was just like one of their things they have.
It's the Zinch spell, right?
Yeah.
So flipping over to sharing this, in the controlling heroes phase, a wizard within 9 inches may manipulate the cogs to increase or decrease flow of time. Anytime you start messing with flow of time, you're breaking the game. If they do, they can basically do an effect. You can speed up time and add 2 to the move characteristics of all units on the battlefield. In addition, add 2 to charge rolls for all units on the battlefield. That's the one nobody's probably going to use. You're probably going to slow down time. The wizard manipulating the cogs can cast 1 additional spell in the hero phase. In addition, re-roll failed save rolls for that wizard.
Pretty good.
Who
knows the speed up? I mean, the speed up time could be good if you need to run to an objective and stuff like that.
Right.
They have their uses.
So,
but yeah, slow down time is probably better.
Anyway, that was the one that they shared there, and Blades of Corn. The final one that they talked about was they gave examples of command combos, and this was where the command point rules, where they were talking about getting an extra 50 extra command point for 50 points came in.
Yeah, although I think the Blades of Corn have a really good like combo, but I think the Iron Jaws probably have the best combo for command points. And I'm looking to do a video series. Let me know if you guys think this is a good idea about, I guess, like crazy combos in the upcoming Age of Sigmar 2nd edition for command points. So,
right. Or at least we're going to have an episode talking about them.
Yeah, something like that. Let us know.
That kind of gets us through the news. Wow, we're only about a half hour or 40 minutes in.
Did that pretty fast. We're getting better at this, guys.
I have no idea if we did it fast or not. So, basically, the Warbands for Shadespire. I don't know if you got. I play a little bit of Shadespire. Mark and I have played it a little bit. But I really like the game. It's fun. It's totally different. But with them selling the Warbands separate, I've heard where people have taken like these units. I guess the Skaven might be an example where they're trying to mix in, and they can basically use those units to be different looking models. They don't even have to use these special rules for them.
Right. Just give them some better looking, like just some variation.
Right. But yeah, I just thought we'll go ahead and go through, and we're just starting with the Steelhearts champions, and that's really the first the first Stormcast Eternal guys that came out, and it's only 3 models, and it's 100 points. So that's a little seems a little high, but
Severin, Oberyn, and Angard.
Right. So basically, they do have a lot of this is common here, where they'll have all 3 guys just kind of up in the one thing.
Yeah, my only thing with these warbands is this one's not very bad at all. But when you get to like the Skaven one, you'll see what I mean when I talk about like it lists all the melee weapons, and then you have to keep track of like
which guy had what weapon,
which guy has this weapon on the battlefield when they're in these like 1 inch apart from each other, and it can, yeah. So I almost wish they were all just heroes and they were stronger personally, but it is what it is.
Right. So basically, Steelheart himself, if a target unit has 5 or more models, you can reroll failed hit rolls for Severin's broadsword. That's pretty good, right? 3. So he's going to be 3+, 4+, run -1, 2 damage, and if he's going after a bigger unit himself, you're going to reroll failed hit rolls.
That's not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah.
And then they've got they have an ability of a heroic guard. If any enemy unit finishes its charge move within a ½ inch of this unit, add 1 to this unit's save rolls for the rest of the turn. However, you can't
benefit from cover.
You can't benefit from being a cover, yeah. Then if any model in this unit selects an enemy unit with a wound characteristic of 5 or more, so like a hero or a monster or whatever, add 1 to that model's hit rolls in the combat phase. So +1 to hit, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And you can reroll save rolls of 1 for this unit while it includes Bright Shield. So while Bright Shield is around, you get 1 on your saves. So you're going to be saving on 3 up.
Yep.
So this is pretty good. I think they're pretty good. My only concern is it's a unit of 3 guys with a total of 6 wounds. Right? So
yeah, they're definitely they're definitely an elite unit, like an elite small unit. So
I would have preferred maybe if they some of these guys had more than the 2 wounds that they have in Shadespire. Maybe like if these guys each had 3 wounds or something, or maybe like the Skeleton Force had 2 wounds each. I mean, that one's okay, I guess, but it just seems like you're talking 6 wounds for this thing, and it's just it seems like I worry that it's just gonna blow up, and who knows? I guess the problem with all of these units is the fact that they're small units and you're adding a drop. So we don't know how the whole drop rules are going to work going forward, but you're adding 1 more drop to your force to bring these.
Yeah, so, I think that's I didn't even think about that. The adding the drop. I think that's a huge thing you just point out there, Dad.
So I think this is cool. I could see somebody using it. I don't play Stormcast, so maybe people can tell me I'm crazy. I just think you would probably bring a unit of 5 of your Stormcast guys, Liberators or whatever, instead of these guys. But maybe. So I think these, and this is the one that has the female, right? So definitely you could. Probably these guys. More than likely, are just going to be used for conversions or variations of the standard models that come out with the base game.
Yeah,
that's just my thought. So next up is, I'm going to skip that one. I was going to go to the corn guys.
Garrick's Reavers.
What's that?
Garrick's Reavers.
Right. So again, Garrick's Reavers is 5 models. So again, small. These are all going to be small because they're 5 or whatever models.
You can kind of see my point with the whole melee weapon like thing here.
Oh yeah. So you got to remember who has what weapon.
Yeah.
Now this is only 60 points, which is probably the lowest cost thing you could throw into a Chaos army.
Yeah, five models for 60 points, I think, is actually pretty good.
Yeah, right. That seems pretty good. A whole lot better than 3 for 100, right? So these guys, the leader, if the hit roll for an attack made with his Blood Drinker axe is 6+, that attack inflicts 1 mortal wound instead of normal damage. On a 6-up, you get a mortal wound. Frenzied Devotion. If this unit is within 12 inches of a Chaos Totem from your army, which I assume is a banner, then all models in this unit make 1 additional attack. So that's really good. So you basically got 3 and a D3 and 1/1. So you get 3, 6 plus, we'll just even say if it's 2, 8, and then 4 more. 12 attacks out of these
5 guys.
These 5 guys.
Yeah.
So, well, it's actually going to be more because I only counted the 4 guys because the Reaver Blades, it's going to be 2 more. Reaver Blades, you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for models armed with them. So you're basically got a 3-up reroll 1 attack with those guys. That's going to be pretty brutal. However, they are only 1 damage and there's no rend. But these other ones are 3-up, 4-up with a rend. And if Garrick Gorebeard slays an enemy model, you do not have to take a battle shock test for that unit that turn. In addition, at the end of any phase with Garrick slays an enemy hero, add 1 to the attack characteristics of this unit's melee weapons for the rest of the battle. So that's pretty rare that's going to happen. But when you slay an enemy model, you don't have to take battle shock for this unit this turn. That's going to be
pretty good.
And that's worthwhile. So basically, these guys, their bravery is 6. If you even lose 1 unit, you could still lose somebody. So, and odds are these guys are going to be killing something. Mm-hmm. You know, if they're going against, you know, like clan rats or something, you're going to definitely be killing them. At least 1 model.
Yeah, I think these guys are a little bit better than their counterpart in the Sigmarine guys. Although they have a 6+ save, which is way worse than the 4+ that the Steelheart champions have, along with the re-rolling save rolls of 1, while it has Vanguard in it. So who's to say?
It'd be interesting.
But to me, five guys for 60 points seems better to me, just for with what they get and stuff like that. And they're definitely not bad.
And definitely, so using this, the other use is basically, again, instead of you could basically buy this kit, and again, you're talking 5 models for $30, and use them as Blood Reavers.
Yeah, these are on 32s, right?
Yeah, I think they all are on 30.
What are Marauders on?
Marauders are on 25s.
Okay, well, never mind then.
Now, the other guys that we're going to talk about in a minute you could use for Chaos Warriors.
Right.
You could put them on and use them for Marauders used to be on 25 squares. They used to be on the same square size as Chaos Warriors, and Chaos Warriors, at least in the document on the Grand Alliance, went up to 32s, and Marauders stayed on 25. So who knows? Maybe we'll. Speaking of things we want to see in 2.0, I'd like to see a standardized base rule to come out and basically say, you know, hey, if you're playing whatever games with your friends or whatever, bases don't matter. But if you're playing tournament or whatever, round bases matter, and this is the size base. You know, just sort of add 1 to the column when basically a unit and its points, this is the base size it should be.
Yeah, they next to Garrick's Reaver, they could just put parentheses 32. 32
I
mil.
guess what I was saying is in the General's Handbook, they lay on this Chaos Pitch Battle profile.
Sure, yeah, that works too.
We could add a column that basically says it's a 32-inch base.
Yeah, that would work just the same, right?
And then they could do that for every unit in the game. Because I know there's a lot of people I see on the board. It's like, hey, what size base should I put such and such on?
Yep.
Well, let's go look it up.
All right. Next
is going to be, who was next? The dwarf, the
what
orcs?
was released next? The dwarves were released next.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we'll go with the Iron Skulls because I know they were out. They were out next. So, actually, I think the skeletons and the Iron Skulls came out next. But
yeah, you're right.
We got Iron Skulls Boys, which is 4 models. A little low. But all of these are going to be 4 models, 80 points. So that's 20 points a model. That's.
So these guys have 2 wounds, like the whatever's guys. I mean, you have 80 points and you get 8 wounds instead of 100 points for 6 wounds.
Right, but they're not as good because they got to sit. They don't.
They have the same save,
but they don't.
They're a little bit worse. They do less damage, but
yeah. So basically, hey, this guy, the leader of the unit, Mr. Iron Skull, adds 1 to hit rolls for his Auroch forged choppas and smashes. So basically, they're going to be 3+, 3+.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I wish that they would not put this special rule in like this and just put it up here as that. I mean,
well, the problem is that Iron Skull has Auric Forge Choppas.
Yeah, other people have it too, right?
And so does Bone Cutter has a big choppa, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Basha and Haka carry Auric Forge Choppas. So unless they said Iron Skulls Forge Choppas and Smashes.
But it's like you say, it's a little difficult to keep track of it. It would have been almost nicer if they basically said,
I agree.
Gurzog Iron Skull has this attack. And then
I agree.
and then Gurzog Iron Skull indent his weapons, these damage. Such and such, his weapons, these damage. But you're only talking a unit of 4.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. But
so the Dead Ard ability, roll a d6 each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to this unit. On a 6+, the wound is negated. Wounds or mortal wounds allocated to Gurzog are negated on a 5 and a 6. That's pretty dang good.
Yeah, like I said,
Yeah,
I think these guys are a lot better than the Steelhearts, actually.
Yeah, I like these guys a lot better than Steelheart. Yeah, and they're cheaper. So, yeah, they seem pretty cool. And again, there weren't a lot of Iron Skulls models made, right?
Iron Jaws.
Iron Jaws. I mean?
Yeah, basically with these guys, you could run them in an Iron Jaws force. What I would do, Ard Boys are only getting better in the next edition. I would throw these in as some variation of Ard Boys because Ard Boys are ugly models and these guys are actually good-looking models.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what I would do. But yeah, the Iron Jaws for units only have Brutes, Ard Boys, and Gruntas, and this unique unit right here. So
up to the really cool unit,
the Sepulchral Guard.
Sepulchral Guard. Yeah, I painted this guy's like Tomb Kings because I'm stupid. But again, they're only 1 wound apiece, but they are 80 points. You know, I actually looked at taking this in my Death Force when I was taking Tomb Kings as 80 points. I don't know, but basically they do have the Tomb King regen. So as long as the Warden is alive, in each of your hero phases, you can return a D3 slain models to this unit while the Warden is on the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we should mention, since this is a unit, all of these units are going to be the same. Your unit's going to take wounds. You're going to be the one deciding which model dies.
Right.
For the most part. There's times where people can attack a specific model.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so they have crypt shields, which is just like any other skeleton. So they add 1 to the save rolls against attacks that don't have any rend. You can add 1 to hit rolls for this unit if they're wholly within. Wholly within. There's any death heroes.
That shouldn't be that hard. You only have 7 people. It's not like a block of 40, so it'll be all right. Yeah.
They are fast, and you can reroll charge rolls for this unit. I think your regular skeletons, though, get 1 to hit rolls. There is not a holy within there, but they do get to add 1 for hit rolls if they're within 18 inches of a death hero. And so they are a save of a 6-up, and they get that ability to regen the people. And they're only 80 points, so 7 models for 80 points is pretty cheap. Although 10 skeletons are 80 points, right? So is this better than 10 skeletons? I'm not sure. Probably is, except when you take the skeletons and you get 40 of them.
Yeah. So one little thing I found funny here, the flavor text with frightening speed says, the undead warriors of the Sepulchral Guard move with a swiftness that can shock their foes, their motions still guided by fragmented memories of their mortal lives. They move 4 inches. Not that fast.
Well, you can reroll charges, though.
Yeah, I know it charges in like movement is totally different, but I just thought it was.
It shocks them because they're moving so slow, and then zoom.
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of comical.
So they got to save a 6-up, and death always has, if they're close to a hero, the death has the another 6-up save.
Mm-hmm.
And we should mention that does remind me. So basically, I don't know the army's basically abilities, but so basically, corn guys are going to get whatever corn army has.
Their allegiance abilities or whatever, right?
Right. Yeah. Or order allegiance abilities or whatever.
Right.
So, but they're not going to get special ones.
Right.
Magor's Fiends. So this one is the other corn, right?
The other corn, yes.
More heavily armored guys.
Yep.
And so these guys, it's kind of, they come with a hound, right?
Yeah, a good boy.
So they get a hound that's kind of interesting. And so I was just going to try and he's down here. Interesting. So we'll go into that. So basically, the fiends themselves are 3 fiends for 80 points and 1 hound for 40 points. So you could take Riptooth by itself for 40 points.
No, you can't. If you read the notes, only one of them.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Cannot be taken unless you also got Magor's Fiends. They basically saw me coming.
Yeah. I actually, when I was looking at this, we'll get to it in a second when we talk about Riptooth. I'll explain why. I was like, wow, Riptooth is so good. But we'll get there in just 1 second. Let's go over Magor's Fiends first.
So that's 3 models, and the Red Hand. These guys are definitely heavy armored corn guys, and so if you're using, you could definitely use these guys for
Chaos Warriors,
Chaos Chosen, for your corn, and or just kind of mixing them into your Chaos Warriors. So they.
Or who are the Skull Crushers? They'd be good for that too, right?
Skull Crushers, yeah, but they're riding on the Skull Crushers.
Or there's a group of guys that kind of look like the Magor's Fiends that are a unit of them.
Chosen.
Is that it? Okay.
They're basically elite Chosen or elite Chaos Warriors.
Okay.
So yeah, basically you get to reroll hit rolls for attacks made by this unit that target Stormcast Eternals. The current meta, that's probably pretty good. There's a lot of mixed order lists out there with Stormcast.
Yep.
And if the save roll for an attack that targets a unit with any Gorefist is 4+, after modifiers are applied, and the attacking unit is within 1 inch of the target, roll a die on a 6. The attacking unit suffers one mortal wound. So basically, somebody can mortal wound themselves by attacking these guys. And the Blood Warriors hack and tear at their foes even when wounded. If a model from this unit is slain in combat, you can still make a pile-in move and attack with the model before you remove it. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
And you get to reroll charge rolls while this is within 8 inches of Rip Tooth. So my concern again is these are 3 models with a save of 4 up for 100 points. And with only 2 wounds apiece.
All these units kind of have a similar baseline theme of stats. You know what I mean?
Right. So, like I was saying, I'd almost wish they had 3 wounds apiece and they were maybe pointed more appropriately, but because it's just going to be 3 models at 6 wounds is going to be pretty easy to just kind of.
I mean, they all like they're named characters. I almost wish they just were heroes. Like, I can understand the undead being a unit, but like with the Steelheart people, I could just see them being as
heroes. If you just had 3 separate heroes, each one as its own guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you make a good point. I almost think that would be better. And then a discount if you took them together or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Something like that.
You got a unit cohesion you got to deal with too.
Yeah.
So Rip Tooth, he's 40 points. But he's only 2 wounds. Collar of Corn. So basically, he's going to get an unbind. That's pretty nice.
That's what I was saying. I didn't read the note first, and I was like, 40 points. It's a free unbind, and you get the re-roll while you're within 8 inches of a friendly demon hero of Corn. I was like, oh my god, this guy's stock is rising in the new edition. Like 2 attempts at a 30-inch unbind. Whoa.
Right. Yeah, that's really strong. 40 points for a 1 unbind and a re-rollable unbind if he's next to a hero.
Yeah.
And I assume these guys, interesting, keyword is not hero.
Yeah. So, well, they can't be hero. Remember, that's what we were.
Right, but I just thought they might have listed them as all hero.
Yeah.
But they are not. So, and you can re-roll charge rolls. So, pretty good for that unbind capability only, right?
Yeah, but you have to spend an additional 80 points. So it's like 120 for all of this. Is that worth it? Maybe. Riptooth is really good.
And you don't have a whole lot of unbind. I don't know what kind of unbind you got in the Corn army anyway. I know they got the brass collars around, but you don't have a lot of wizards.
Yeah, so Riptooth seems really good.
The Far Striders, these are the other Stormcast Eternal unit, right?
Yep.
And these are the guys with the bows, right? So
the Bolt Storm pistols. Yep.
Yeah, they were kind of broken in the regular guys for this force was broken in AOS for a while. So these guys, the 3 models again for the 100 points. We won't go in 2 wounds. The leader gets 1 extra attack with the shock hand axe. Move us 6 inches at the start of the shooting phase. Pick an enemy unit within 18 inches of Sanson Farstrider, and roll a die on a 4+. The enemy unit suffers a mortal wound. That's his falcon on the model.
Right.
Can't see me holding my arm up to hold like a falcon. Instead of setting up this unit in the battlefield, you can place it to one side and say that it's set up in pursuit. If you do so in your movement phase, you can set up wholly within 6 inches of any edge of the battlefield, more than 7, which is kind of odd, than from the enemy. This is their movement for that phase.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to you mentioned they have their Varangard. The Varangard hunters have a very similar.
Yeah, I don't know,
like deep strike-ish ability.
But they got a pretty easily makeable charge. If they're more than
Yeah.
7 inches if they're 7 inches from somebody. And they can run and shoot in the same phase.
Yeah.
So, same turn, I should say.
Yeah, these guys are pretty good, I think.
But their damage is only 1. And their range
no
on their
rend.
shooting is pretty short.
Well, you're teleporting in at 7 inches away from something.
Right.
But yeah, no rend kind of is they've got no rend, each thing deals 1 damage. So basically, I still think these guys are better in
most of these guys can do 6 wounds.
Age of Sigmar terms than their Steelheart champion. At comparison, I think they're better than them, but
I kind of like the Steelhearts better than these guys, but shooting is always good.
I think the deep striking is just really good.
That's true. This could be a unit that's more of an objective grabber unit.
Yeah, you should use it as a 100-point objective thing,
right.
And you can run and shoot in the same turn. Is pretty good. Although they're not that strong, but still.
Nothing that does is that deep strikes is usually very strong. And finally, we got.
I would say that's completely false.
Skaven and the dwarves, which I can't seem to find the dwarves, so I'll have to figure out if I close that or what. So the Skavens, the Skaven is going to be. It's kind of odd. So they basically start with just the leader of the Skaven warband, and then here's his swarm. So we'll take a look at the swarm. The swarm is 4 models, and then you get the additional leader. And so Kirk, the almost trusted, if he is slain, add 2 to the attack characteristics of. Oh, if Scritch is slain, add 2 to the attack characteristics of his rusty spear. And you need to no longer take battle shock tests. So that's kind of it's kind of a nice little flavor thing.
Yeah.
Aversion to death. These Skaven, after the first wound or mortal wound is allocated to this unit, and these guys only have 1 wound apiece.
Yeah.
In any
so basically, if a guy dies,
right? If a guy dies,
you get a 5-up save.
Each time you allocate any further wounds, and on a 5-up, that wound is negated. So once a guy dies, they get a 5-up save beyond the ward save, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Right.
They add 1 to save rolls for this unit against attacks that have damage 1, while it includes a hungering Skaven. So basically, you're going to get a 5-up save on just regular attacks. Do not add the number of models that have been slain when taking battle shock tests for this unit,
which is quite important since they have a bravery of 4.
If they just lose 1 unit.
Yeah.
Now here's the other thing on this. This was the points. Spike Claw Swarm, 30 points apiece. They already saw me coming because I was going to say for 30 points, this is the cheapest thing you can buy in Age of Sigmar. So if you're like 30 points short, you could add it in, but they basically can only take it unless you can only take it if you take Scritch. Yes. So really this is 150 points for all 5 guys. So, but Scritch Spike Claw.
I said Scritch is pretty good, I think.
This is the one I would see you taking and not taking the rest of the guys.
But you have to.
You don't have to, do you?
Yeah, you cannot be taken unless you're all. You always have to take the entire warband. In all of these, if you go down to the notes in Scritches, it says cannot be taken unless your army also includes.
Cannot be taken unless. All right. Most sad. I guess I should read better because I was real excited about that because basically they have the. But I still think it's going to be good because he's got a command ability where basically you're going to be able to add 1 to the attack characteristics of a Verminous unit's melee weapon. And Verminous is the people that have clan rats.
Yes.
So you got a big unit of 40 clan rats. You're going to go from 40 attacks to 80 attacks.
And then if you have the Skaven Warlord, its command ability does the same thing. Or they get to attack again, I believe. with their melee. It's one of the two. You get a lot of attacks.
Right. So basically, this is one definitely I could see this guy having, and he's got 5 wounds, so he can survive. He's not just a 2 wound guy.
Yeah, he does. He's got 3 to hit, 3 to wound. He's got a good stat line or attack stats as well.
Right. So he's got a good attack and everything. After he is attacked in combat, he can attempt to scurry away. If he does roll a die on a 4+, he can immediately retreat as if it were movement phase. So it's like I can. So it's kind of like the what is it? The skinks can kind of do some of that kind of stuff. They can.
Yeah.
Yeah, but basically they can. So this is pretty cool. He can go in and run away, attack and run away.
He doesn't have to be wounded for the stab. And if they attack and they miss, he can run away.
Right. Well, it's after he is attacked, he can scurry away. So yeah, he doesn't. He just does his attack and then scurries away, and then the other guys.
After he attacks. Oh yeah, I need to read better too.
Right. So basically, it's after he attacks. So he attacks, does some damage, and then runs away, and then he's not locked in combat. Nobody can attack him.
Right.
In each of your hero phases, if Spike Claw is within 13 inches of his swarm, you can return a D3 models to that unit. So that, except you can't bring Kirk back. So again, that's pretty good. I really like this unit. I think this one.
And the models are just good looking. They're just sweet models.
Right. And that's the other thing is that these guys, although I guess they're on 32s, right? So that's a bit of a problem. But if you wanted some heroes.
I believe Storm Vermins might be on 32s.
Right. So you wanted.
So you could do them instead of Storm.
You could use these guys for Storm Vermin and stuff. But I really liked this force. I kind of thought this was probably the best force of all the ones that I saw in the AOS rules for these guys.
Right.
Or for all of the guys, all of the AOS things.
Yeah.
And finally, we got the dwarves, which I need to find Garrick's Reavers, Sepulchral Guard. I'll just open up. They are.
You don't have them.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't have them.
No, I have them if you want me to.
All right, you share them.
Okay.
Or I can go to.
So with these guys, it's the same formula as the Skaven thing. You have your leader who's 100 points, and the chosen axes, which are a unit of 3 for 40 points. You have to have both in each of your army. You can't include one without the other. We can go over the chosen axes first. So
that's pretty cheap. 3 guys for 40 points.
Yeah, I mean,
But they are only 1 wound. Okay.
But then you have to take the hero, so I guess that's kind of where they're like. All right, so these guys, I think they're pretty good. They're probably pretty comparable to the Skaven, in terms of like power level, I suppose. What do you think?
Yeah, they do. They don't have the regen, but they can negate saves.
Yeah, so we'll go over the leader of this guy is Tefk Flame Bearer. He can add 1 to the damage characteristic of this model's Fire Steel Hand Axe, which has a range of 1, 2 attacks, 4 to hit, 3 to wound, no rend, 1 damage. So it's all right. It's not bad, but for 40 points, you can't really complain about something being too weak, right? Chosen Kin. While this unit is within 3 inches of friendly, basically within the hero, Fulge, you can add 1 to the rune rules made for it. In addition, you don't need to take battle shock tests. So that's good. You have your Berserker Fury, which is like similar to the Volkite Berserkers. Roll a dice each time this unit suffers a wound or mortal wound on a 6-up. It's negated. So it's like a better. There's a lot of that in these units, isn't there? Like
a lot of negating wounds. Yeah.
Yeah, like this is the almost the same ability as the Iron Skulls one. The Iron Skulls, just the leader gets a better one. And then the Fire Steel and hand axes, you can reroll failed hit rolls for models armed with 2 Fire Steel hand axes, which is Tefk and Maid Magrum.
Okay.
And then Vol Orc Bane, who is armed with the Great Axe. And I don't get why they just couldn't have said Tefk and Maid get rerolls or something like that.
Right.
And there is only the people with the Fire Steel hand axes already have 2. They don't have anything else. I don't get why they couldn't just say you can reroll hit rolls for Fire Steel hand axes.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a little bit redundant and stuff like that. So these guys aren't bad at all for 40 points, I don't think. And then we have the next is Flageol Grimnir. Fuel. I guarantee that's probably right. Yeah. So he's 100 points. He has move a 4-inch. He's slow. He's a dwarf. Save a 4. 6 wounds. Scritch had 6, right? Or did he have 5?
So the big deal here is his command ability, right?
Yeah. Yeah, his command ability is really good, I think, actually.
All friendly Fire Slayer units within 8 inches of this model can move up to 5 inches when they pile in, which is huge.
Yeah, the 2 inches might not seem like a lot in just thinking about it, but in context, like the contextual parts of the game, it's like a huge amount.
In addition, each time this model suffers a wound or a mortal wound, pick a friendly Fire Slayer unit within 3 inches and roll a die. On a 4-up, the wound is negated, and that Fire Slayer's unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So it's kind of transferring a wound from him to a different Fire Slayer's unit.
Yeah.
So keep your hero alive.
You get to re-roll, or you roll a dice each time you allocate a wound. A mortal wound to him. So roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to Fuel while he's within 3 inches of a friendly unit of chosen axes. On a 5+, that wound is negated.
Yeah, so he's got a 4-up, 5-up, and then anything else that is the Fire Slayers might have for their allegiance ability.
Now, this is interesting. So I don't know how the rules work in this case. So it says in addition, each time this model suffers a wound or mortal wound, pick a friendly fire, and you get to roll for it.
4-up, 5-up, and then if you fail both of those, then you can use this.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I didn't know if you had to like pick one or the other type thing.
So it's kind of interesting because it's like use this command ability at the start of combat phase. So this is definitely an Age of Sigmar 2.0 type thing too.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, it definitely is. This guy was definitely
and he's going to be like
created with those rules in mind.
A command point's going to trigger it.
Yeah.
So
in your hero, go on.
I was going to say, like you were just about to say, you can subtract a D3 bravery from a hero. So
from a unit. Man, that would literally destroy me if I just was playing my Storm Fiends and I went up against that guy. He'd be like, reduce their bravery by a D3, and then he rolls a 3, and then he kills one, and then my bravery is 3, and then all my Storm Fiends would run away, and I would cry.
Right.
And then lastly, Weapon Breaker. If you make a save roll 6 or higher for this model for an attack from an enemy hero or monster, roll another dice. If the result is 4 or more, your opponent must reroll successful hit rolls for the weapon which was made to make that attack for the rest of the battle.
So that's kind of interesting. It's like, oh, I have my units of 40 skeletons attacked you, and I attacked you with a spear. So spears must, I get a reroll success for hit rolls with spears. And it doesn't even say it has to be the same unit. It's really kind of weird.
If there's
that's some good rules lawyering there.
I would assume it's for the
Oh, you would assume, but that's not what it says.
Well, I think you're taking it out of context, and
it makes sense. I'm just saying.
But yeah, that's all of the guys. Going over this, I actually think the Fire Slayers probably have a better, possibly better than the Skaven.
Right. But their points, who knows? I mean, yeah, but basically, I like both of the ones where they've made you have a hero separate.
Right.
They've definitely made that hero worthwhile taking.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't do that with
Steelheart.
No, with Magor's Fiends and the Fire Striders, because they were kind of made around the same time, right? Or
after.
Yeah, you would think they would. You would. Maybe it's because there were just less people. I would have thought they would have kind of gone with the same formula.
Right.
But who knows?
So that's it. That's it for this week. I really like Shadespire the game, and I'd like to get some of these warbands out on the table. And you know, the other thing is like if you used, I guess I don't know how it would work in skirmish, but this definitely could be something usable in like a low 1,000-point game, where you could bring these units out.
Yeah, they brought out rules for skirmish for these guys, or they brought out points.
They did. I don't know how you would not have the unit though, because a lot of them have the dependency of one guy and another. So
right,
where they all act individually.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, that's it for this week. Next week, as we mentioned, we're going to be at NashCon. We're depending on how things go, we might do a show from our room with the laptop, or we might get some special guests and record some stuff just with the camera, and then release an episode when we get out, when we get back.
Yep.
That's it for now. Thanks everybody. Don't forget to subscribe. We definitely need those subscriptions, and that way when we change the times and everything, you guys can hop on and point out all the things that we're saying wrong, and or things that we haven't thought of, because certainly the point of this show is to try and grow the community and grow our skill as well as everybody else's. And so having everybody talk at the same talk and help bring ideas to us as we talk about them, definitely a good thing. Something I'm looking forward to having everybody do.
Yep.
So that's it for now. We'll see you next weekend.
See you guys.
Bye.